Okay, so yesterday we were describing the relationship between two variables. I used the example of using two people in a relationship. What were we talking about though? Relationship was another word for the what? Starts with a C. For the correlation coefficient. Why is this thing in the way? This bar. The bar is in the way. Hold up. I can't move it. It won't move. There we go. For the correlation coefficient, the relationship between the two variables, we were talking about the strength. Remember, the fresher the relationship, the stronger it was. And they were what? One. They were one. Okay. Now it says, look under that A and B. It says, look at plot A and B. What do they both have in common? Positive. They both have a positive correlation. They're both going up from left to right. Let's type that in. They both have a positive correlation. They both have a positive relationship. Now look at it again. Which one do you think has a stronger correlation and why? All right, why A? Why not B? Correct. The points are closer together. Oh, that turned off for a little bit. There it goes. The points are closer together. Remember, the closer you are, the stronger your relationship is. The farther apart, the more problems, the weaker the relationship is. So another thing that we talked about, just a quick overview. Correlation coefficient, we have a new variable. That variable is R. It doesn't come up on a formula or anything, but you do need to know that that is what represents correlation coefficient. Remember, if the R is near a positive one, that's going to be a positive correlation. If it's near a negative one, that's a negative correlation. And if it's closer to zero, the relationship is weaker. It gets weaker as we get closer to zero. Now we have strong correlation, no correlation on this scale. There are two other words that we use to describe the correlation coefficient. What are they? What did we put in the middle? Moderate. Negative point between 0 and -1 is -0.5, and that is considered moderate. Moderate negative. Okay. And in between 0 and +1 is what? 0.5, and that's moderate positive. What about, we don't have, there's one more category. What category is that? It's already there in black and white. You got strong, moderate, and weak. Strong, moderate, and weak. Good. Strong, moderate, and weak. All right, so imagine having to, just looking back at the scatter plot, imagine having to find the equation of this line by creating a table and writing all of these points down. That would take forever. You don't have to write that part. That would take forever, especially if you're there on the day of the STAR test. So we talked about, whenever we first looked at scatter plots, about putting a line through the most points or connecting the most points. That wasn't a straight line. Through the most points or connecting the most points. What was the name of that line? What did we call this line? It was always like, it was supposed to be a best estimate, like an average of all the points. Awesome. Line of best fit. Line of best fit. And remember, for line of best fit, they'll use words like predict or estimate. Estimate. So if it tells you predict a future value or estimate the equation of this line, we're talking about the line of best fit, and it is a straight line. So it is going to be in slope intercept form. Everybody got that? Okay, so in order to find the line of best fit, we're going to use a feature in the calculator called linear regression. Linear regression is just a feature that we use in the calculator. So we're going to be finding, so find the line of best fit. Oh, Lord. Find the, why did it delete? Line of best fit using linear regression. Find the line of best fit using linear regression. It's just a calculator feature. We're going to find the line of best fit using linear regression. Now, before we actually start doing that, I'm going to change up the top part of these steps. Try not to go ahead and try them. We're going to write them down, make the changes, and then we'll do it together. The day of the STAR test, you are going to receive your calculator. That calculator is going to be reset. The memory is going to already be reset. So there are certain steps that you have to take in order to be able to find the regression of it, the regression of the line. The first step, we're going to change it all together. We're going to press mode. Press mode. Don't actually go ahead and do it. Just write this down. Number two, we're going to skip all together. You will end up scrolling down to diagnostics and you have to turn it on. Turn on. And you turn it on by pressing enter because a lot of people end up skipping that. Press enter. Okay. We're going to press mode, go down or go up to diagnostics and then press enter. And I will show you what I'm talking about. So make sure you have your calculators ready and on. Go ahead and reset them. Okay. Now, once your calculator, you're going to receive your calculator, it's going to be reset. So the very first thing you want to do when you get an example like this is turn the diagnostics on. So you're going to press mode. Let me bring up this. You're going to press mode. Mode is the button right next to the blue one on the right side of the blue one. And you'll see this screen. Everybody see it? Now, the fastest way you can go down, but the fastest way is to go up because it's 3 from the bottom. The third option from the bottom says stat diagnostics. When you go up, it's going to be flashing on off. So you want to move to the right and also press enter. So the black box moves from the right to from the left to the right side. It should be flashing on. There should not be a black box on off. Everybody got that? Okay. Now, once you turn that on, you can go second quit or second mode again, and we're ready to proceed. The second part of the notes is showing you how to actually type the points in. So you're going to get an example like this. They're going to give you a table. They're going to say, find the line of best fit, or what is the correlation coefficient, or estimate the values of this table, anything like that. When they're asking you to find the line of best fit, in other words, give me the equation for this table. Okay, so that's what I'm going to put, equation. It's just asking you, what is the equation? And the reason we cannot use slope is because these points are so random that it won't be adding or subtracting the same number every time. So we can't do this like the way we did it when we learned how to find the slope of a table. So we have to use linear regression. Okay, I'm going to zoom out so you can see my steps. Bring my screen back in so y'all can see that. All right, we're going to start with the step 1, stat. Press stat. Stat is the button diagonal from mode, 2 to the right from alpha. And you should see this screen. Press stat. We're on step 1 right here because I see some confused faces. Hold on 1 moment. All right, press enter and you should see L1 and L2. If you don't see an L1 or L2, raise your hand. That just means somebody deleted it. And if that happens, I have to put it back in there for you. Okay, next, we already pressed edit. So you want to put your X's into L1 and your Y's into L2. So I'm going to go ahead and write an L1 and L2 next to my table. If your table is laying down, your X values will always be the top and your Y values the bottom. If it's standing up, that should be obvious, I hope. So let's go ahead and type in these numbers, 3, 7, 2. And I actually have to click these, 18, 17, 6, 3, 7. Okay, I feel like I went pretty slow. Everybody ready? Nope. Give you a few more seconds. Tap with both fingers. Yeah. Everybody? Okay. After you put your points into L1 and L2, what's step 3? Stat. We've already been in edit, so step 4, move over to calculate. Which option are we going to pick in step 4? I mean, step 5. Option 4, where it says linear regression. And notice that it has an equation right next to it that looks pretty familiar, but you should be in this screen now. Everybody there? Calculate option 4. Now, once you get there, number 6 says scroll down to what? Store. Think about it. Think about it in your head. You can say, I have to go to the store. Always go to the store. Step 7, what do we press? Alpha trace. Now, alpha is your green button. Trace is right next to graph. So alpha trace, you're going to insert that Y1. So once this box pops up, enter 3 times. Enter, enter, enter. And your screen should match mine. Yes? So remember, I told you guys that this equation should look familiar. What does it look closest to? Correct, mx plus b, which is our slope-intercept form. So you can compare it very closely to slope-intercept form. I'm going to write y is equal to mx plus b. And I'm also going to write y is equal to ax plus b, because that's how it's written or typed into the calculator. Y is equal to ax plus b. You notice that a is in the same spot as what? So that means a must represent your slope. If m is your slope, a is your slope. What does b represent? Y-intercept. So now you have all of the information that you need to create an equation in slope-intercept form. So we're going to write that down. Y equals, and you want to keep the number, since there's a bunch of decimal and you will get decimals on your assignment, keep it two places past the decimal. So y equals what? 8.84. Now slope is always attached to what? X plus or minus? Minus, because it's a negative 14. So negative 14.61. And that is the equation of this line. Once again, it's just an estimate. It's not an exact. This one is not a straight line. The points are not lined up perfectly together. Okay. What is the correlation coefficient of this? Which one of these values do we look at to find the correlation coefficient? The very last one. I told you guys that you would see R squared, but you do not use R squared in Algebra 1, just R equals. R squared is something that you see in Algebra 2, so I'm not going to worry about it. 2 places past the decimal, 0.94. Describe that 0.94. Strong what? strong positive. Now, another part that they could add to a problem like this would be, for example, predict the y value if given the x value of 30. Meaning, if I give you the x value of 30, if your x value is 30, what is your y value? Find the y value. Now, there is a much simpler way to find that y value without having to substitute it in for x and solving. Okay, we're going to use the calculator to do this. First thing you're going to want to do is go to y equals. Go to y equals and make sure you have your numbers there. If you do not, if this screen is blank, if you don't have your 8.847025495, that is because you missed a step. So we're going to go ahead and make a little note. If that is blank, that is because you skipped step 7. Step 7 is that important. Pressing alpha trace puts the equation into y equals for you. That's the note I'm going to write. Puts equation in y equals. Pressing alpha trace puts the equation in y equals. If you get to y equals and there's nothing there, you forgot alpha trace. All right, so where can I find this 30 on a table? Where do you see a table in the calculator? Other than stat, we've seen it before. We've used tables before. Where do you find it? No. There's a word table on your calculator where you see the word graph. Now that word table, it is in blue, meaning you have to press what? Second graph, second table, and you're giving your values. Now I could go through all of these x values, go all the way down to the number 30, but that could take a little bit. And on the STAR test, they could use numbers, or they can give you numbers as outrageous as 2012. So that means you're going to have to sit here forever and ever waiting for it to get to the 2000. But the good news is there's a faster way to get there. I call that my jump to feature. So if you want to jump straight to a certain x value, jump to, you're going to press these buttons. First, we're going to write this down and then I'll show you. So second window, and you're going to put the number where it says start. Second window. And I'm also going to put another little note. X value goes here. Oh Lord, that's the worst arrow I've ever drawn in my life. There. Your X value goes here where it says start. Everybody got that note written down? So I want to go straight to the number 30. I'm going to press second, which is the blue button. Window is right next to y equals. Window's on the right side of y equals. Press it and you'll see this screen. Hopefully everybody already has all those notes. You'll see this screen. You see where it says start? Now, the change in the table, remember this is the triangle represents delta. Delta is a word for change. This should always be the number 1, never anything else, never. So the only place you make changes is right here. Press the number 30 or put the number 30. You don't have to press enter, just put the number in there and then go back to the table. How do we go back to the table? Second graph. And it takes you directly to your answer, 250.8. 250.8. 6.8. It'll take you straight to the answer that you're looking for. See it? Got it? Learn it, live it, love it. We're going to do another example. Anybody need time? All right. I'm going to go over to the next example and then we can go back to the top. Here we go. So to put in the next set of points, where do we go to put the points in? Here where you see an X and Y, this is giving me the points. But where do I go to insert points? Stat, edit. So stat, edit. You're still going to have the points from the previous problem. So to get rid of those, you have to go up to L1. You press clear, enter. Never, ever, ever press delete. Up, the black box is going to be over the L1 or L2. Press clear, enter. If you press delete, that is how your L1 and L2 disappear. And that is what will require some assistance from the teacher. So go ahead and put your numbers in, 6.1. All right, after you put your points in, go over to what? What's step 3? Step 4. Step 5. Press the number 4. You don't even have to go down to the number 4. Just press the number 4. And then you'll be in this screen. Where do you go? Go to the store. Think about it. Go. I always have to go to the store. What do you do in store? Alpha, trace. And then once that box pops up, you press enter. How many? 1, 2, 3. Doesn't help if you're going to be typing this or pressing all the buttons for your friends. You have to do this yourself. So that's your screen. Or that should be your screen. If anybody got something different, raise your hand real quick. Okay. Serious? Weren't you just making fun of? Line of best fit. All they want us to do is to give the what? Equation. So my equation in slope-intercept form and y equals form is going to be what? Y equals 18.03 what? Plus or minus? Plus what? What's my correlation coefficient? R equals 0.99. Describe that. Strong positive. Strong positive. Good. Now, this is the part that you're most likely going to be tested on the STAR test. It says using the data, predict. Remember, I told you they could use the word predict. They could use the word estimate or estimate. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. I'm going to highlight that because those are some key words right there. Predict the Y value. In other words, what is the Y value if given the X value of 10.5? Now I realize it's kind of hard to see the fact that it is a 10.5, but it's there. This worksheet kind of like the decimal looks weird. Okay, so where do I need to go into my calculator to find this number, to find what Y will be? First step, what do I need to do? What do I need to check? Go to, if I don't have any numbers there, what did I forget to do? Step 7, alpha trace. Now I check it. I do have my equation in there. How can I go straight to that 10.5? Second window. I go straight and put 10.5 where it says start, 10.5. 10.5. And now I can go to my what? I can go to second table, second graph, and it will take me straight to my answer, which is what? 209.73. Okay, so E. It's asking us once again, predict the Y value when the X value is 0.25. You have a bunch of X values here, but it doesn't matter how much I go up or how much I go down. I won't ever find, look here, I won't ever find that 0.25 because it doesn't exist here. I have to go straight to it by using what feature? Second window. Only in second window can you put whatever number you want. Most of the time, it's going to be a whole number. Okay, so I put the 0.25, then I go to second graph, and it takes me directly to my answer, which is 24.82. And the reason you're seeing a bunch of decimals, or because you're seeing a bunch of decimals, more than likely, this is going to be a question that's going to be a griddable. Okay. So we're done with the calculator part for that. Go up. You have a list of values, even though the directions say put it in order from strongest to weakest. I want to list them in order from least to greatest first. And then we're going to categorize them. Okay. So I'm going to just cross that out. So what is the smallest, or what is the, what is the least value here? Which one's the smallest one? Negative 0.567. Then what? Okay, then what? Negative 0.156, then what? Okay. And? Okay, just to quickly go back over the strength of each of these, 0.567 can be a category on its own. How can I describe 0.567? Moderate what? Moderate negative. What about negative 0.232 and negative 0.156? They're both considered weak, negative. 0.006 is on its own. What is that? Good, no correlation because it's just that close to the number 0. So no correlation. I'm just gonna put COR. Next, 0.158. Weak what? Weak positive. And last, 0.875. Strong positive. Good. All right, so glue this into page 79, and I'm going to come around with your